Portland, Oregon, a capital gains tax to provide free lawyers to tenants fighting their eviction cases is going to be on the ballot in May. I'm Tony, and this is Real Estate Investing and Landlord News. All right, so I have an interesting article for you today, and it's coming out of the Portland, Oregon area. So obviously, Portland is one of those places where they're very, very pro-tenant and anti-landlord, and they are doing everything they can to make sure that tenants can't be evicted, that landlords, they can't make a profit on their properties, that, basically, if you want to be a landlord there, they're making it as hard as possible for you, okay? And that's why I bring these articles up, because I want to show you the extremes, how far these tenant right groups and how far these far left-leaning progressives are willing to go in order to basically stick it to the man, okay? In their minds, landlords are all these super rich mega corporations. They don't even realize that, hey, a landlord could be a guy who's renting a spare bedroom in his house, or who has one house that they have as a rental property, but the house they used to live in, so they don't even think about the small landlords when they put these actions into place. But then they sit there and they wonder, well, why is housing so expensive? Why aren't the developers building anything? Why is there such a shortage of housing here? Well, because you drove all of the landlords out of the market. You told us that you didn't want us there. You told us that you thought that our business practices were not good. And guess what we did? We decided, hey, we're not going to operate our businesses there. And the result is, with a shortage of supply, costs go up. It's basic economics, but hey, they're too dumb to realize this stuff. Okay, so yeah, they're pushing for this capital gains tax, right? And I'm not sure if the capital gains tax is only going to apply to landlords or if it's going to apply to everyone within the city of Portland when they're selling anything, be it a business or a piece of real estate or whatever, right? And this capital gains tax is going to provide free lawyers for tenants fighting their eviction cases. Now, as I've mentioned before, I hate anything that provides a free lawyer to a tenant in a civil suit, because in a civil suit, you're talking about one party versus another party. And giving a free lawyer to one side while telling the other side that they don't get a free lawyer, that's basically picking and choosing winners and losers, okay? So I have to pay thousands of dollars if I have to get a lawyer for an eviction case, right? And then you're giving one for free to this tenant. And not only that, but most eviction cases, tenants aren't going to win. Okay, the grand majority of eviction cases are for non-payment of rent, 90% plus. Okay, so what is there to fight? Why are we giving lawyers to people who can't fight their case? You didn't pay your rent. You do not deserve to stay in my property. That's my personal opinion. And, if you have a solution, oh, well, you didn't file the paperwork correctly. Well, I'm going to, say that 99% of the time, everything is done right, and the only thing that the lawyer is going to do is come in there, file a whole bunch of useless motions, try to drag it out as long as possible, and cost the landlord hundreds or thousands of dollars in extra lost rent while they keep a non-paying tenant up in the unit. That's what these lawyers do. So yeah, it's a bad deal. I don't agree with it, and taxing people to pay for these free lawyers for these tenants is especially dumb. Okay. So before I get into the article, go ahead, hit the like, subscribe button, maybe leave a comment down below. Let me know what you think, okay? I've asked this question many times before, and I'll ask it again. What do you think of governments providing free lawyers for tenants to fight their eviction cases? Do you think this is a good thing, or do you think this is a bad thing? Now, responses in the past have been overwhelmingly against it. Okay, keep in mind, most of the people who watch this channel are other landlords, so they understand where I'm coming from with this opposition. But every once in a while, I do get a reply from a tenant saying, oh, we got to even the playing field because the landlords, they have lawyers. Yeah, but you're forgetting the landlords had to pay thousands of dollars in order to have that legal fight, or to have somebody fight their legal case. So we have to come out of pocket, and on top of that, the tenant isn't paying us rent. So yeah, every time we go through the eviction process, it costs us a lot of money, and that's why I'm dead set against giving a free tenant or a free lawyer to a tenant. So anyway, let's get into the article. This article is coming from OregonLive.com, and it says capital gains tax to provide legal defense for tenants in eviction court qualifies for May ballot. So, yeah, they're going to be voting on this up in May. And let me tell you what I personally believe is going to happen. Okay, this is going to pass. And the problem is, it's kind of similar to a lot of other laws that passed that, they didn't define well enough when they wrote the laws out, that this could end up hitting a lot of people who have nothing to do with real estate. All of a sudden they're paying this additional tax. Okay. So, that's one thing, but I'm not going to say for sure that it will pass because, just recently, the city of Denver actually was trying to do something very similar to this, right? So they had on their ballot back in November a special landlord tax that would tax landlords to provide free lawyers for tenants, right? And the voters in Denver, Colorado, actually rejected that measure. They said, no, we're not going to do this. This isn't necessary, and it's a bad deal. And I was surprised when I saw that. So maybe the people of Portland and, Multnomah County are smart as the people in Denver, hopefully. Hopefully they are, and they're going to see through this nonsense and say, hey, this isn't good, this isn't right, and we're not going to approve it. But anyway, let's get into the article. Multnomah County voters will decide in May whether to approve a capital gains tax in order to provide legal representation to tenants facing eviction. Tim Scott, Director of Elections for Multnomah County, announced in a December 22nd email to the county's Board of Commissioners that backers of the initiative had turned in enough valid signatures to get the measure on the ballot. Backers needed 22,686 valid signatures to qualify the measure for the May 16, 2023 ballot. They turned in 24,216 in November, Scott wrote. We are thrilled to have qualified for the May 2023 ballot and see this as an important piece of the larger community-wide effort to increase housing security in Portland and Multnomah County. Colleen Carroll, a spokesperson for the Eviction Representation for All campaign, said in a statement, at its heart, Eviction Representation for All is a policy that says we value the people who live here and want to implement a well-proven strategy to ensure that tenants have full access to the legal system and the alternatives to eviction that exist. Yeah, that's a bunch of garbage, okay? Simply put, they already had full access to the legal system, just like the landlord did, right? So, the false image that they put in their head is, oh, well, this rich landlord has a team of expensive lawyers. No, what you usually have in these eviction cases is a small mom and pop landlord who owns one house with one non-paying tenant, right? And this person is, using their credit card to pay for the lawyer to go to eviction court, and they've already lost hundreds or thousands of dollars and lost rent on top of that. So, yeah, and then this free lawyer provided to the tenant is going to let them get that so that they can stay in their house for 2, 3, 4 months longer than should happen, okay? Or, we're going to negotiate, we're going to step outside. Like, listen, just leave. That's what I say, right? If you can't afford to live here, you can't pay your rent, just leave. I won't even go to eviction court. If I don't have to pay for the lawyer, you just go. I'll just take the loss in the rent. But no, they will drag it out. That's what abusive, greedy, selfish tenants do, okay? They sit there and they just take advantage of the situation and they play you off like you're the bad guy. And I'm sick of it. I am sick of the way that landlords are getting treated out there. Advocates had hoped to get their proposal on the November ballot, but they were slowed down by a legal challenge filed by the Portland Business Alliance. A Multnomah County judge ruled the planned ballot measure could proceed with some modifications to the language. If passed, the measure would levy a county-wide, adjustable 0.75% capital gains tax to fund a program that would provide free legal representation for all tenants facing eviction. Both the City of Portland and Multnomah County allocated money to seed legal defense programs for low-income renters facing eviction last year. So I'm kind of confused by this 0.75% capital gains tax, right? Is it only on real estate? Okay, that's a good question because a lot of capital gains taxes are paid by people who are selling stocks. Okay, so are they going to tax people's stock sales? Is that what they're saying here? You know, because this could hit everyone if that's the case. It could, I mean, literally, people who don't even own real estate could be hit by this 0.75% capital gains tax. You know, they didn't make it clear. Also, businesses, anything that you pay capital gains tax on that you end up selling, you could end up paying additional capital gains tax to provide free lawyers for tenants. Now, I'm sure that in their simple minds they thought, well, the only thing you pay capital gains tax on is real estate. Well, these are morons who wrote this. Okay, maybe they're going to clarify a little bit more going into it, exactly what they mean. But until then, for now, I mean, the way that they have this written here, it looks like you could sell, some stocks in your retirement package, right? And end up having to pay for free lawyers for tenants with some of that money. That's insane. In 2019, Oregon lawmakers passed a ban on no-cause evictions after the first year someone has lived in a home. The same 2019 law made Oregon the first state in the nation to adopt statewide rent control policy. Although the cap on rent increases is pegged to inflation, and high inflation means landlords will be allowed to raise rents by as much as 14.6% next year. So yeah, like they said, Oregon already has extremely strong eviction protections and rent control across the entire state. And then they want to throw on top of this, levying additional taxes onto landlords or perhaps all property owners. Okay, so this is insane. I hate it. Okay, I hope it doesn't pass. No matter what happens, though, right? We know that in a place like Oregon, only thing that's going to happen is they're going to continue to attack the property rights of landlords there, and landlords are going to continue to get punished